welcome back. This is lesson 2 of Arts in the Child, Arts 2379 at U of H Clear Lake. Again, my name is Dr. Henry Dara, and today we're going to do staff notation. So this is kind of a tricky one because normally in class, when we have face-to-face class, we practice at the end. Because about half of you in the class have ever had music. Many of you have never had any musical training, and I understand that. So for this one, there is a link on Blackboard that I think will be helpful, and that is the musictheory.net. And if you go to the one that says staff notation, which is, I think it's the second one down, the first or second, it's near the top. Now, it explains it in a different way that I'm about to tell you, but it's the same thing. I think it'll help reinforce this for you who have not done this before. Or, if you want, you can come to office hours at 1 o'clock Tuesday or 1 o'clock Thursday, and I'll be there for the full hour. You know, if you get there 5 minutes before 2, that's okay. Maybe be there earlier if you need help. But some of this stuff in this class is difficult to explain online, or especially through emails. This, not easy to explain through emails. It's such a conceptual thing. But let's get right into it. So the first thing we're going to learn is the treble clef and the bass clef. Now these are not the only clefs, but a treble is, in this case, up here, the bass clef is down here, and as you go up the staff, the note gets higher. So this is high. This treble clef is for instruments such as the flute, the clarinet, the trumpet, instruments like that. Now the bass clarinet, and it's spelled bass, you'd think bass, but in music, we're going to see B-A-S-S a lot. Bass trombone, bass clarinet, bass clef, bass, like the upright bass. So just remember that it's not pronounced bass, it's bass, like B-A-S-E, but don't spell it that way in your papers. Okay, so 4 sayings, and if you can memorize these sayings, you'll be fine. You'll be able to figure out what a note is. Of course, it would take practice to learn how to play an instrument and how to actually read, but for this, if you were to be given a note, like on the final, there's a couple that you have to identify. When you see them, you say, oh, well, that's a C on treble clef, or that's an E on bass clef, or whatever it is. So there are 4 different things to remember. I would say sayings, but let's start with face. Face is spaces. So let's talk about what a space is. Space is this space in between the lines. So that's kind of easy to remember. The space is the space between the lines. The lines, just like they sound, they are a line. So as we learned in the first unit, there were 5 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all of these sayings I give you today and the word, they all go from bottom up. So F is the bottom space, A is the second space up, C is the third space, and E is the top space, the 4th one. So those of you who took music before, every good boy does fine, or every good boy deserves fudge. Don't know why it has to be about boys, but it is, and it's easy to remember. So E is the bottom line, G is the second line, B is the third line, D is the 4th line, and F is the 5th line. And what that means, like it's easy to see here, any note that is drawn on this space is an F. Like for instance, any note drawn on this line is a D. And check this out. We start with E at the bottom, and then we go up to F, to G. And our alphabet, musical alphabet, is only A to G. That's all we have is the 7 letters. So after G, we start over with A, B, C, D, E, and F. Now if we continued, and the music musictheory.net will show you things called ledger lines. That's when we have higher, or when we get to middle C. I'll explain that in a minute. It's below the line, or in this case, C is actually in between the treble clef and the bass clef. So let's jump to the bass clef. So give baby dolphins fish always. Give baby dolphins fish always. That's 5, so it's going to be our lines. Give, G, B, D, F, A. So any note on this line is an A. And then our spaces are all cows eat grass. A, C, E, G. So any note on here would be C. Any note on here would be E, G, A. And the way I find it easy to remember the difference between the top sayings and the bottom sayings, because as you notice, they're all different. It's not an A up here, it's an F. And I think of the top ones dealing with people, because people have faces. And yes, you might say, oh, your dog's got such a cute face. Oh, cutie, cutie, whatever. But people have faces for sure. Every good boy, that's a person. So on the bottom, we think of animals. Give baby dolphins. You got dolphins, fish. Yes, they're mammals, but think of them as animals. Give baby dolphins fish always. All cows eat grass. So the bass clef is things related to animals. Give baby dolphins fish always. All cows eat grass. And then treble clef, face for spaces, and you can remember that one, number 1, because there's 4, but also it rhymes, face and space, so you can remember where they go. Then on the lines, every good boy does fine, E, G, B, D, F. Okay, now let's talk about middle C. Middle C is below the bottom line and above the top line of the bass clef. And here is the thing. So this is an A, okay? This bottom and bass clef, this is an A. So I could have a note that is right here, that is on the space, but it doesn't need a line yet. So this is B. So if I keep going, the next note is C. So conversely, here's our E. I don't know if this is big enough to see. Hopefully it is. The note below the staff, below the line, this is E, so this is D, because you're going, as you go down, you go backwards in the alphabet. So then C, and this isn't exactly drawn to scale, C is the middle. So on your quiz, which I can tell you since you get the luxury of taking it online, the quiz will show C twice. But that is it for Unit 2. Down here, this might be too small to see on the screen. This is just the lines E, G, B, D, F, F, A, C, E. Those are treble clef, bass clef, G, B, D, F, A for lines, spaces, A, C, E, G. So if you have any questions, come to office hours at 1, Tuesday, Thursday. You can feel free to email me. I'll explain it in the written word if I can. But just remember, there are only 7 letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then they just repeat and repeat and repeat. So that's our musical alphabet. And Unit 6 is the keyboard that we would be learning melodica songs. In class during the semester we actually play music, which is usually the most fun class. And I realize some of you might have ordered your melodicas already, and I do apologize for that, but if you haven't messed them up, you can send them back. Or you can, I'm leaving up the video link on keyboards. It's a real concise, you only have to watch the first half. When he says, let's kick it up a notch, Don't kick it up a notch. Just stop the video. But it'll teach you where this relates to your musical instrument. Shows you where C is. Shows you where, well, all the notes. And it shows you what the black keys are called. But anyhow, have a great day. And I will see you next time.